young woman, dumped by her unfaithful boyfriend, returned to her hometown only to be exploited by two men in the village. But she wasn't some helpless victim. She was a ruthless serial killer. Her encounters with these men would end in death.
If you want ordinary, look elsewhere. Welcome to TC Channel. Where other channels fall short, unique mysteries solved step by step.
On April 27, 2010, 65-year-old Liu Laoer from Xinghua Village in Ning'an disappeared without a trace. Over 20 years ago, because he wasn't doing well financially and wasn't exactly successful in life, his wife ran off with their two sons and moved to Shandong. Liu Laoer had been living alone ever since, and just recently he found work as a cook on a construction site. He worked for 3 days, then vanished on the 4th day. No one could get a hold of him, and the other workers hadn't seen him leave. The cook was just gone. At lunch, the workers were left hungry. People assumed this quiet old man just quit because the pay was low. But his younger brother, Liu Laoer, felt something wasn't right. So he called the police. He said, "My brother never leaves the village. He wouldn't just run off like that." At first, the police weren't sure if Liu Laoer left on his own or if something happened to him, so they didn't take it seriously. But after Liu Laoer reported it, things got even stranger. On May 1st, Liu Laoer also disappeared. This odd turn of events caught the attention of the local authorities, and they quickly launched an investigation looking into the disappearances of the Liu brothers. During the investigation, relatives and friends mentioned that Liu Laoer and his brother Liu Laoer had a close relationship with a woman in the village named Su Hong. The two brothers had lent her $2,000 and $1,000, respectively. The police found out that on the night Liu Laoer disappeared, the last person he contacted was Su Hong. When investigators spoke to Su Hong, they learned she was 40 years old, but appeared much younger. With a full figure, it was later revealed that Su Hong was not just an ordinary village woman. She had graduated from Ning'an Medical School and had worked at a major hospital. When the police visited her, Su Hong remained calm and cooperative, telling the officers, "I did borrow money from the Liu brothers, but I have already paid them back, and I returned the money to him on the night Liu Laoer went missing." The police couldn't find any issues with her statement, so they left without further action. Then, on May 10th, Liu Laoer's phone sent a message to his sister. The message read, "Sis, I need to tell you the truth. I was involved in Big Brother's death. I went to Shandong to help him find his son, but we argued and things got out of hand. I pushed him. He lost his balance and hit his head. I checked and found he wasn't breathing. I was scared, so I took his body and buried him in a remote area. Then I ran away." The timing of this message seemed too coincidental. It seemed to be trying to clarify the situation with a lot of detailed information. The case seemed closer to being solved. But the police weren't convinced. They believed the real perpetrator might be someone close to Liu Laoer. Why? If Liu Laoer had truly killed his brother, why report his brother missing? At the time, no one was particularly concerned about Liu Laoer's disappearance. Liu Laoer could have easily said his brother went to Shandong to visit his ex-wife and son. Even if he hadn't thought of that, why would he wait 2 weeks to suddenly send a message admitting to his involvement? If he had kept quiet, he could have gained more time to escape. When they investigated, the police found no DNA on the doorframe that supposedly caused Liu Laoer's death. Additionally, while Liu Laoer was on the run, he left behind his ID and a lot of cash at home, which didn't fit the profile of someone fleeing. What made things even stranger was, while the police were still investigating, Liu Laoer sent over 10 messages to his family saying, "I am responsible for Big Brother's death. I feel terrible. I can't face coming back home. It was me, no one else. I'm leaving. Please take care." These messages led to a breakthrough in the case. The task force compared them to Liu Laoer's previous messages and noticed something unusual. In the past, Liu Laoer's messages had irregular punctuation and often contained typos. But this time, the punctuation was correct, the sentences were clear, and there were no mistakes. The message was very detailed. Based on this, the police concluded that the person sending the messages was likely not Liu Laoer. It seemed clear both Liu brothers had likely been victims of foul play. After the investigation, the police team zeroed in on Su Hong as the main suspect. This was hard to believe for many local officers, since Su Hong was known as a kind and respected woman in the village. She had raised 4 kids by herself, so it seemed unbelievable that she'd be involved in something like this over a small loan. How could a woman who seemed so gentle be tied to such a serious crime? And the way the bodies were disposed of, that was still a big question mark. On May 19th, police searched near Su Hong's home and found a hidden cellar covered by dry branches and leaves. When they opened it up, they were hit with a strong, foul smell. The officers, wearing masks, spent about an hour digging until they uncovered 2 male bodies. It was later confirmed to be the missing Liu brothers. The news of the brothers' deaths sent shockwaves through the village. No one could believe it. How could someone as kind and gentle as Su Hongbei responsible for taking the lives of 2 men? Then, another discovery stunned everyone. Police found a female skeleton in the same cellar, and DNA testing confirmed it was Li Ying, a woman who had gone missing 5 years earlier. Li Ying had run away with another man back then, and she was Su Hong's sister-in-law. After Su Hong was arrested, her brother-in-law Yan Zhang's family also came forward, reporting that he had gone missing 7 years ago. After a series of intense interrogations, Su Hong finally admitted to killing Yan Zhang, but claimed she burned his body. Her calm and detached response shocked the investigators. How could someone who seemed so educated, kind, and gentle be involved in such a twisted case? What hidden emotions and personal conflicts were really behind these 4 deaths? After Su Hong was arrested, she stayed calm and collected. She smoked a cigarette, explaining her motives in a composed manner. Su Hong was born in 1970 into an ordinary farming family. After finishing middle school, she earned a spot at a medical school in 1970, Ning'an City. Upon graduating, she landed a job at a major local hospital. As a young woman, Su Hong fell in love with a boy named Wang Ye. After starting school, she went public with their relationship, but her family didn't approve. Wang Ye had only finished middle school and couldn't continue his education. He returned home to work as a farmer, but Su Hong chose to stay with him, making sacrifices for love. When she started working, many educated and well-off men showed interest, but she wasn't swayed. Eventually, she quit her job and returned to farming so she could marry Wang Ye. Her love story became well known in the village, but the sacrifices she made didn't pay off. Soon after they married, Wang Ye cheated and ran off with another woman. After he left, Su Hong gave birth to their daughter. She cried every day, hoping he would come back. But Wang Ye never returned. 2 years later, Su Hong, with her young daughter, traveled to Zhejiang to find him. There, she discovered his new girlfriend was pregnant. The discovery broke her. She returned to her parents' house to heal emotionally. But just when she thought things couldn't get worse, a new shock awaited her. In February 2003, Su Hong's sister Su Ling and her husband Yan Zhang came back from Ningbo. They were going through a rough divorce. Yan Zhang refused to agree to it, even cutting off his own finger in a fit of anger. Scared, Su Ling fled to Su Hong's house. Yan Zhang, seeking revenge, moved in with a local widow. When Su Hong found out, she was furious and decided to take matters into her own hands. She tricked Yan Zhang into coming to her house, under the pretense of talking things through. Then, she hit him with a glass bottle on the side of his head. Yan Zhang died instantly. The whole scene was witnessed by Su Hong's father. When her father stared at her in shock, Su Hong calmly explained, "I can't stand men who are unfaithful, and I have no tolerance for people who betray others. I just can't let that slide." Her father, feeling sorry for her, decided not to report the incident and helped her with the aftermath. In 2008, Su Hong's father passed away, and the remains of Yan Zhang were never found. It was unclear whether Su Hong had unintentionally uncovered something or if life just became more complicated for her. 2 years after Yan Zhang's death, the Su family faced another shocking turn of events. Su Hong discovered that her sister-in-law, Li Ying, was having an affair. At the end of October 2005, Li Ying returned to Xinghua Village from Ningbo with her partner in tow. One night, Su Hong walked into her sister-in-law's room and caught them in a compromising situation. Su Hong was immediately upset and confronted Li Ying about it. Li Ying shot back, "You're in no position to judge me. You can't even control your own husband. I can do what I want." Su Hong was furious. A few days later, when Li Ying was asleep, Su Hong sneaked into her room and strangled her with a rope. She then hid the body in the family's storage pit. To keep the smell from getting out, Su Hong kept dumping waste into the pit. Afterwards, she sent texts from Li Ying's phone to her friends and family to make it look like Li Ying had run off with her lover. After her brother-in-law and sister-in-law passed away, Su Hong took in their children, Bing Bing, Xiaokei, and Tian Tian. It's unclear whether she did this out of a sense of responsibility or a desire to make things right, but she opened her home to them, creating a unique family. To support the 4 children, Su Hong took on 30 acres of farmland, learned to drive a tractor, and worked tirelessly from sunup to sundown, enduring challenges most people can't even imagine. Despite the financial strain, for over 10 years, Su Hong didn't buy herself any new clothes, but she made sure the children had the best. Her meals were simple, but whenever there was something good to eat, she made sure it went to the children first. Even though she worked tirelessly, the family still faced financial difficulties. She made significant sacrifices, including putting aside her own daughter's future to fund her brother-in-law's children's education. In early 2010, Xiaokei, her sister-in-law's 8-year-old son, became critically ill. He needed urgent surgery or he wouldn't survive. At the time, Su Hong only had a few hundred yuan to her name, so she turned to the wealthiest man in the village, Liu Laoer, and asked to borrow $2,000. Liu Laoer had a reputation for being unscrupulous, and he had been interested in Su Hong for some time. He offered to lend her the money, but on the condition that she would develop a closer relationship with him. Desperate to save Xiaokei, Su Hong reluctantly agreed. However, Liu Laoer took advantage of her vulnerable position, making unwelcome advances despite her attempts to resist. After Xiaokei's surgery, Su Hong discovered she was pregnant with Liu Laoer's child. Seeing that she hadn't reported him, Liu Laoer became bolder, sneaking into her home at night and telling her that if she agreed to date him, he would forgive her debt. While dealing with his advances, Su Hong's sister-in-law's 12-year-old daughter, Tian Tian, also fell ill and needed hospitalization. Su Hong was afraid to borrow more money from Liu Laoer, fearing he'd make further demands, so she turned to Liu Laoer's older brother, Liu Da, for help. To her surprise, despite his age and quiet demeanor, Liu Da proved to be just as manipulative as his brother. Using the pretext of repayment, he also took advantage of Su Hong. After years of enduring humiliation, Su Hong finally decided to take control of the situation. She prepared some pills to use later, but crime still demands justice. On April 27, 2010, when Liu Da snuck into her bedroom again, Su Hong acted unusually calm and kind. She told him the pills would help him regain his strength. Liu Da eagerly took the pills and soon fell unconscious. Once he was incapacitated, Su Hong acted quickly and he passed away soon after. After dealing with Liu Da, Su Hong then focused on Liu Laoer. 2 days later, she followed a similar approach with Liu Laoer and he passed away shortly after. In mid-January 2011, the Mudanjiang prosecutor's office in Heilongjiang charged Su Hong with multiple murders. She showed no remorse for her actions and accepted the legal consequences, expressing no regret. The one thing she couldn't let go of was the 4 children, especially the 3 orphans she had taken in. Under Chinese law, those convicted of murder can face prison sentences ranging from 3 to 10 years for less severe cases, While the most serious cases result in life imprisonment or the death penalty, Su Hong was convicted of killing 4 people, destroying 1 body, and concealing the bodies of 3 victims. The court sentenced her to death in accordance with the law. In 2012, Su Hong was executed. After the tragedy, the 3 children she raised were left with no family, and the woman they called Mom was the one responsible for their loss. Despite this, Su Hong truly cared for the children, even sacrificing her dignity for them, which ultimately led her to a tragic end. The complexity of the situation is something most people would find hard to understand. Looking back at her life, Su Hong was an emotional idealist, someone who gave everything in her relationships only to be betrayed in the end. While her actions were unforgivable, her roles as a wife and mother still deserve some recognition. Her sentence was just, but it's hard not to feel for her complex situation despite the severity of her actions. That's all for today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and we'll continue to bring you more real stories.